some girl chat because Captain Lonnie is ready for duty. I'm gonna jump right in.
Oh. Okay.
I love it.
Okay, Captain
Come
Lonnie.
through with the camo.
All right. This Monday night, your girl, Jeannie Mai, old Twinkle Toes herself, she did the tango with her partner, Brandon, and you killed it, Jeannie. You killed it. Look at that form.
Did.
Look at that dress. Look at that facial expression. It was everything that I ever imagined. And, I was mad at the score. It was 3 7s. You should have gotten 3 10s because this was the best dance yet, in my opinion, that you have done, Jeannie. I'm just going to say that. But you are still
you serious?
in it.
Yes.
You still, it was the best
great.
dance I've seen you do. Seriously, it was
Yeah,
great.
it was sexy,
you were focused. You were on
intense.
point. Yep. Everything.
Guys, you were
Tell us
driven.
everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Garcelle. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Lonnie. And thank you, Israel. You guys are such great supporters out there. It was the hardest dance because I naturally am very chipper and positive. I'm always going to look for the positive in everything. But in this dance, it really is about emotion. So all week, Brandon was just picking at me, my partner, to just like get that angst out. Even if it's a brother-sister relationship, you can find that in some ways. So I really... I'm proud of myself for nailing that, but I have to be honest with you, I was so hard on myself afterwards because there was a trip up in the footing, which technicalities, yes, the judges, they have to count that. But for me, it was the wobble at the end. The thing is, I had so much work done in the angst towards Brandon that when I landed on him, in order to land that hit well, you really got to drive your heel into a person's chest. You really got to get in, like literally pushing down a villain. But I just couldn't do it to Brandon because I was like, in that moment, I was like, okay, get the foot on and that's it. But don't go in all the way. So I'm sitting there like, I was like, damn it. And he was like,
so
drive it into me. But anyway, I want to say this to the fans.
Good. That was just the end.
Great. You looked so beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, you survived this week.
Yes, I did. That was it. The fans, you guys, the votes are everything. As you can see, even Monica, such a great dancer, could be at the bottom. It's whack. So thank you for voting. Thank you for giving me a chance to tell you more stories through dance. I promise I have this next week, 80s. It's going to be jazz. I don't know if I was supposed to tell you that. Okay, I already did. So it's gonna be jazz, and I'm gonna make you guys proud. These jazz fingers are ready.
The outfits alone, your looks that you're giving on this show are incredible. The hair, the red lip. Ooh.
We have to report that Ann Heche and her partner, Keo, were sent home. Our Jeannie is still here. So we really appreciate all the fans for their votes. It really helps.
Vote. It really does.
Vote.
Again, even though it's a competition, don't miss out on the powerful messages of these people. For Anne to share that story, something in 2020 that we should already understand when it comes to equality and removing discrimination from places like your life and your work. Please hear the messages in these people's stories because they really put their heart out there, not just on the dance floor, but in their stories and their actual own journeys. So I appreciate everybody for voting and just encouraging these people to do their best. Moving on. So I want to talk about this, you guys. USA Today recently reported that President Trump's nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett, has close ties to a Christian religious group called People of Praise, who reportedly teach that it's a wife's job to submit to the will of her husband, as the Bible teaches. So far, Barrett has declined to publicly discuss her affiliation with People of Praise. I did not even know this existed. But this week, Matthew Cochran of The Federalist defended this viewpoint, arguing that equality in marriage only breeds resentment, and that just because a woman is submissive to her man doesn't mean it will hold her back in life, highlighting Amy's potential new job as evidence of that. So ladies, this view... I'm sorry, I'm already thinking about my answer, but do you view this as ridiculous?
What we had?
Right. Do you guys feel as women?
This is crazy.
This tension coming up when you hear this.
Submission.
Garcelle, what? It's that
When
word.
I think of
So tell me
submission,
what you
I think maybe back in the 50s and the 40s. But I think what is submissive in the, 2020? What is submissive? I think we have to define that. And I think for me, it would never work, right? But I think it really is up to the couple. I think you have to decide what is submissive. Is it cooking everything he wants? Is it having his, bath ready when he comes home? Like, what is it? I think that has to be really redefined, but I'm not down for that. You won't get me to be submissive. There are things that I'll give and take in a relationship, but to be completely submissive.
That's compromise.
Like even the word obey when you're getting married in a marriage vow, you say obey, but are people really doing that these days? It's like, I respect you and I will honor you, but I think the obey and submissiveness is out for me.
I think it's so weird when people try to use the Bible for these sorts of things. I think that gets really weird. Obviously, the Bible was written in a different time, a completely different. Literally, there's parts in the Bible that literally say that you should stone somebody if they eat shrimp in Leviticus. Like, we have to recognize
Or not color
what that
your
means
hair.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally really extreme things that are said. I think God also gives us wisdom, and I think that there are also other parts of the Bible that recognize how important and how essential a woman is to the world and to a marriage, and it speaks on equality. Like, for me, I just feel like the concept of being me submissive to my husband, but what is he not submissive to me as well? I think for me, I think that's what give and take in a relationship is about. It's about compromise. And stop smiling when you see that picture, Jeannie.
No, it's so
was
cute.
Why?
But I feel
I love it.
like this just takes us backwards, you guys. As women, we fought so hard to be equal and viewed equal in our relationships, in our workplaces, and the concept of being submissive has a negative connotation to it. I think when they're talking about her being a boss and obviously having this incredible position that she may be taking, guys, there are people who are bosses in their workplace and then they want to come home and let their husband lead. That again is their choice. That is not them being submissive.
Right.
That is them
That's
choosing.
what I'm talking about. It's about the
that's what they
couple's
want.
decision.
It's a difference.
Right.
That's right.
No, you know what the thing is that what works for a couple works for a couple. I can't.
That's it.
I can't judge them because that works for them. The problem that
That's
I
right.
have with this whole submission talk is that people will bring it over into real life. There's no way that women,
Politics.
I feel women in this country can't have real equality if you have this same old-fashioned, outdated type of thinking.
Right.
Now, in a marriage,
Right.
that's fine, but if he thinks like that
Not-
for a woman and she thinks like that for herself, then when they go outside, they're trying to spread it. And that's what you see right now.
Yeah.
So now you're getting articles about, they should be, women should be submissive. So now you have women that necessarily aren't in relationships questioning, well, should I be that way? Should I do that? And that's
Right.
not true equality for women. So that's the reason why I have a problem with it. What you do in your relationship, that's on you. But don't
if it works
don't
for
let
you.
it go out to the outside. That's what I'm saying.
But even that is still a choice. That doesn't mean that you're being submissive because you're being forced to be submissive. That doesn't mean you're being submissive because that is what is required of you as a woman. That is a choice.
Yes,
Right. And
choice.
because of that, I
But
want to give
it's-
you guys the actual definition of submit. And then I want to explain
Okay.
how I see this. So the actual definition of submit is to accept or yield to a superior force or to the authority or will of another person. So I'm going to say right here that I, Jeannie Mai, going into my marriage, I want to submit to my man. Let me explain. When I hear this
Wow.
definition, like you just said, Adrian, submitting has a negative connotation. It means that you are less important, you are lower than that person that you're submitting to. It usually can be like, referenced as somebody who works lower than you, and that's not what I'm referring to here.
Yeah,
but what
that's
I've
not
really
cool.
learned in my life for my definition of marriage, I'm not saying what I want works for everybody, I'm saying for me, I'm a very dominant woman. I own my business, I lead my teams, I played my own manager, my own publicist, my own lawyer when I
Yeah.
didn't have money to have those people. So I make the decisions in my life. When I come home, I like the idea that my man leads us, That doesn't mean that in this case, Jay makes all the decisions for us. That doesn't mean that when he says, how are we spending our money or where are we moving, that I just say, yes, sir, or yes, your honor. Like, it's not that. It's a, you know what? I think that we would do best here. I want to do this. And he takes the decision, he formulates it with our overall vision, and he leads us. And I like to submit to that. I don't want to lead in our household and in our marriage. I want him to lead, and I have all the essence of what I bring as a wife to make that decision, but that I love that my husband will be the man that leads. I like that structure in a marriage, and I look forward to that because girls, it's tiring being the boss of me. It's tiring leading all the time in my life.
All the
When I
time.
come
It's
home,
tired
I
to be
look
the
forward
boss
to that.
all the
tired.
time.
Yeah.
I
Yo,
don't like
yes,
that.
I like that you
Adrian.
said that.
I don't like labels. I don't like
agree.
labels. I don't like.
Yeah,
I
labels
don't.
is
And
good.
and
Yeah, I
and
agree.
I just hope that the thing is that, like I said, what people do in their relationship is fine, but I don't want to be taken outside. And sometimes men tend to feel like, well, this is how a woman is supposed to act. And if I'm working with you as a person on the outside, don't treat me like whatever your marriage is. I don't want that. I am my
I
own
get
person.
that.
Treat
I
me
get
like
that.
an equal. That's the only problem I
I get
have
that.
with that. What you do in your marriage
I
is
hear you, Lonnie.
But outside,
Yes.
don't treat me like I'm your wife, because I'm not.
No,
But I want to say this.
yeah,
I want to
no,
say
I
this to
totally
all my
get it.
sisters out there. I want to say this to all my sisters out there that feel me when I say that you can be dominant or you are the leader in your life and you make all the decisions. When you are coupled with a man, men inherently, if you got a good man, want to lead and want to protect you. I'm gonna tell you from experience, if you dominate so much that you actually kind of take over in your own household, that you don't give him
Yeah.
room to feel like a man, fill in the blank however you want, you strip him of being able to do what it is he does well, and it changes the dynamic of your
That's not true,
relationship
Jeannie.
in ways that
Jeannie,
you may not
that's
have
not
expected.
true.
I don't know about
Not
that,
in my-
Jeannie. I don't know
in-
about
no.
that.
I don't think that's true
I
for
don't know.
everyone. I don't think that's true for everyone.
I'm saying it was true I'm talking about my own experience. In my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
experience, I need to there are areas where a man has to be able to have room to lead. And if you try to take over on everything, he's like, where am I, what areas are we leaning on me to just be who I want to be in this relationship?
That's not my experience, and my experience has always been one of partnership and of equality. And
Yeah.
I like for my man to
That's what I'm
come and
saying.
ask me my opinion. And if we have an issue, we work it out, and we're compatible. And that's what I love about my relationship with James, is that it's totally 50%. I mean,
Equal.
and I just hate the label of equality, but I feel like I have a voice. I feel like I can trust him. He can trust me. And it's not this way here. Like, he's up here and I gotta, yes. I just
Right,
work
right.
so hard in my
And I
life
think that's
that
what
I
we're
trust
saying.
him and I feel it. That's all. But everybody's
Wait,
got
why
their
don't-
own thing.
Why don't you like the word equal? Because isn't that equal?
Well, you know what? I love what you're saying, Jeannie, but I think also you can be the boss outside and want to come in and feel girly and let him lead. But I also think what Lonnie is saying about, just feeling like no one's really above each other, that he will check in with her, she will check in with him. And I think that makes you,
You
feel
each
like
have
you're in charge
strengths
of your
and
life
weaknesses,
too.
and you lean on each other.
Right.
You each have strengths and you each have weaknesses, and you lean on each other.
Yes, but I'm describing like I grew up in a household. My mom has a very strong force, and she took over a lot of decisions in the household to the point that my dad, unless it was always going to be a fight, he was like, you know what? Go ahead, whatever you want to decide, go ahead, and I'm
Gives
just going
up.
to do me, and that causes a wedge. And I can have that tendency. I'm just saying, for me, I can have that tendency to follow like my mom because it's what I grew up in and I saw it. And I saw in my living space, I would all of a sudden just wake up and go and make decisions without asking and checking in. So I am the fault that can cause the inequality because I am pulling in my habits from my old household to how I run my business today. And that is not okay. And I'm careful and aware of that today. So I'm just telling that to anybody else who didn't
That's
tell
so
me
great.
that when I could have learned that before.
Yeah. What you're
Got
saying
it.
is that women can be submissive, men can be submissive to women, just as women can be submissive to men or
Right.
dominating. We'll
Right.
take out the word submissive and say
To
dominating.
yield to each
and,
other.
Dominating.
To yield to each
other.
Dominating,
Right.
yes.